what's going on? It's the Petrol List.
Hey, what's going on? It is your boy Dalton from the Petrol List, coming at you from the Bronco. And for some reason, every time I step foot in this Bronco, I have just read or watched something about motorsports. And for that reason, that's what I'm going to talk about today. Two things. The first one is really quick. The second one is also fairly quick. The first one is Aston Martin has announced that they are going to take their naturally aspirated V12 Valkyrie racing, and not just any race. They're going to enter it in the 2025 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now, if you don't know what that is, then I will direct you. No, you can look it up. 24 Hours of Le Mans. And if you don't know why that's cool, then I don't know what to tell you other than naturally aspirated V12. Racing in 2025. That just, it seems cool. I don't really know what else to say about that. Feel how you feel. I feel excited. I'm definitely going to tune in to that. I just have to set my alarm for 2 years from now. Okay, the second one is Formula One, because of course, Formula One. As you may know, over the last year, or maybe year and a half or something, new teams have been trying to enter the Formula One grid, new manufacturers. There's some that I don't really know, like High Tech is one. There's some other car manufacturer out of whatever, Australia or New Zealand or something like that. But notably, Porsche, Audi, and Cadillac have all thrown their hats in the ring, so to speak. That said, the only manufacturer that has been given serious consideration up to this point has been Cadillac with Andretti Racing. I know Porsche and Audi were taken seriously, but I feel like there were some things that Porsche didn't want to give up. I think it's some kind of licensing agreements, and eventually they just said, nah, we're good, we'll go do something else.
That's it! Screw you guys, I'm going home. Screw you guys, I'm going home. But Carmen, we're trying to... screw you guys, home.
Michael Andretti, on the other hand, has been really hungry to get on the grid. Rightfully so. He comes from a racing family, and what better racing grid to get yourself into than the most sought after one in the world, right? So the story has it that the FIA, they simply review applications. That's it. They make sure your money's right. They make sure your, racing heritage is right. And they make sure that you're not going to be some fly-by-night, racing team that pulls up with a car on the, being towed on the back of a, 1987 F-150. That's something that, apparently they would frown on. Now, that said, F1 is its own business entity. So FIA basically does the pre-screen, but then Formula One actually has to approve the application. And so some of the arguments that Formula One has used against Andretti Racing is that they are not going to, provide return on investment, i.e. there are 10 teams on the grid, and right now those 10 teams get 10 pieces of the Formula One money, and if Cadillac comes in then Cadillac stands the chance of just cutting that into 11 pieces, meaning that everybody gets a smaller piece. Because of that, the onus has been on Cadillac to prove to the Formula One powers that be that they are going to provide a great return on investment, in that they are going to create basically 11 of 11 shares of F1 money, not 11 over 10 shares. Anyhow, I'm not here to get into all of that. I'm here just to kind of evaluate what could be the positives and what could be the negatives, and to just let you know, generally speaking, how I feel about it. All right, so the positives. Formula One is growing. It's growing in the United States. They now have 3 races in the United States. The United States is a huge market, and Logan Sargent, I believe, became the first American on the grid in quite some time. Americans get a chance to get all excited about that. Every other country has some: China, Japan, France, Monaco, the UK. So why not let the Americans get a little taste of Formula One? I think it's a good thing as a car enthusiast to get Americans involved in things that go vroom, because that means we can hold out on the crazy whatever agendas that I don't really care to talk about for a little while longer, so I can drive my Miata. That's all I care about. This boils down to me driving my Miata. Well, and this truck, because it is a manual transmission. So, having Andretti on the grid means 11 teams on the grid. There's always room for one more, except for at Monaco, because that track is freaking tiny. And you have a chance of getting some American drivers in the driver's seat. There are 3 races. There's Circuit of the Americas, there's Miami, there's Las Vegas. Why not have an American team on the grid if you're gonna have 3 American racetracks? That also means that there will be essentially 3 more seats, 1 reserve driver and 2 actual racing drivers that race on Sunday. So, the more the merrier. There's basically 20 seats out there. What's 22? I mean, if you think about it, the world is like 7 billion, 8 billion people, and you've got 20 Formula One racing drivers. What's 2 more? What's 2 more, right? It's an increase in competition. It's something to watch. Who knows? What if Cadillac, under the financial command of General Motors, came out swinging and did really good? Even if they did really bad, it would still make for an interesting first 2 seasons of racing, just for people to see how the heck Cadillac does at Formula One. It just literally would be interesting. The bad. Some might argue that Formula One has already become Americanized, especially with Drive to Survive. And then they have the whole NFL dun, 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 dun. When I first heard that jingle for Formula One, it didn't make sense. It really didn't make sense. Anyway, so I'm used to it now. I'm still not a huge fan, but it's there. So maybe having Cadillac coming to the grid would make Formula One even more American. I don't want to see it become uber American. I'd rather it be international and have its own flair, and Spain and Italy and UK and whatever, Japan and all that kind of stuff. I want like world flavor versus just NFL, NBA, MLB flavor, if that makes sense. That is a technical term. That's the only downside I can think of, is, you know, further changing the culture. But let's face it, Liberty Media has already changed the culture of Formula One to a fairly wide extent. They got rid of grid girls, now they have grid kids. Not sure how I feel about that. I think the grid girls should be able to do their thing. They're adults, whatever. Or maybe Andretti Racing outperforms Mercedes. Maybe they outperform Ferrari. Maybe they outperform Red Bull. But isn't that what Formula One is all about? It's competition. So wouldn't it look weird for Formula One to say, no, we don't want a viable candidate? Because it would make it seem like they're afraid that some of their legacy teams might get shown up by the new kid on the block. Now, the last thing I will say, oh, got a call. All right, so in closing, I don't think that there is any reason other than maybe Formula One is worried about their image, or they don't want some country bumpkins from Michigan to join the grid. But you know me, I love European cars, American cars. Yeah, I don't see a downside for Michael Andretti joining the grid. It's more opportunities for excitement. It's more drivers. It's more. By the time we get to like a 40 car or 40 team grid, then we need to really start clamping down. But I mean, come on, it's a whole new continent in the mix. I don't think there's anything from the Americas in the mix right now. I think it would be cool. America. All right. I'm out.